Alright, so this is my presentation on diversity. I'm representing Lee Middle School out of Sharpsburg, Georgia. Okay, diversity. Who can tell me their definition of diversity? What would you classify diversity as?
Different groups of people. Different races, different ability groups, religious groups.
Religious groups? Bonnie, what are you saying?
Economic status.
Economic status? Anybody else?
Accepting people for who they are.
Accepting people for who they are? Good. One version that we were given was one of my colleagues that I'm working on the presentation with. He came at it from a political standpoint. Great experiment in diversity, diverse groups, particularly religious groups, were kind of all put together to coexist. There are a few more definitions on that slide. And they're going to click up, so we're going to click all three of them. Shante Lewis, another of my group members, she classified it as multiple cultures interacting together in various settings, whether it be work, school, play, sports, whatever. My personal definition was all things different and unique amongst all people. The National Education Association defined it as the sum of ways that people are both alike and different. So a lot of different definitions there. Okay, this is our personal or individual schools demographics. You can see that we have 67% white students at our school. Black comes next, then the Hispanic, Asians, 2 or more, and then the Native Indians were the smallest group. Okay, these are our CRCT scores for 2014, 13, and 2012. It has it broken down by the domain, so we've got English language arts, math, reading, science, and social studies, and you can see the average for each year for what it was. Okay, and this is broken down by the county, so in comparison to the other middle schools in the county, you can see that Lee was above the average for each of them, so we're doing pretty well in comparison to the rest of the county. Okay, I broke down the data by different subgroups. So this is by whether or not they were economically disadvantaged. Which group do you see here being at the lower rate?
Economically disadvantaged.
The economically disadvantaged. So when we're going to compare it all, the economically disadvantaged is going to be lower than the other groups. Okay, disability status. Who's lower here? The disability status. So far we have economically disadvantaged and disabled. Okay, this is breaking it down by race. Who's lowest here? The African American group. So we've got economically disadvantaged, special needs or disadvantaged, and then the African American group. Okay. This is broken down by males and females. Who was lower here? The males. So we've got black, African American, or African American males, locally disadvantaged or socioeconomically disadvantaged, and then those that are special needs. Okay, this is additional data. We have to have at least 10 students in a subgroup in order for it to be classified or noted on the test. So Asian, Native American, or Hawaiian, and then the students that are biracial are not included on any of this because we didn't have enough to make a subgroup. You could tell from the charts, the males who were economically disadvantaged, disabled, African American, they scored the lowest on CRCT. The reading portion for all groups, they yielded the highest scores, and science and social studies were the weakest areas in our school. Okay, ideas for assisting our targeted students, which are the lower scores, before and after school tutoring. A lot of times we do this already, but the students that need help, they ride the late buses. So we maybe even could modify the bus routes, which is my last one up here, to make sure those students are coming in for additional tutoring. Eating breakfast. Usually they eat in the cafeteria. Perhaps a couple days a week they could go in and eat with the teachers. An elective class, and we're actually piloting this one this term. Students that are at risk for failing, we have them in a study skills class, and we have peer tutors that are trying to work with them. Okay, they could also have lunch 3 times a week with their teachers if they could bring a throwaway tray, and they could work on remediation during that point. Okay, to communicate, we have a newsletter that goes out. It's via email, so those who don't have email are at a loss for this one. We also use the Remind app very frequently within the school. Hopefully at some point that app will allow you to translate into different languages so we can reach more of our population. Crisis messaging, it can be a recorded message that's blasted out to everybody. It's also posted on the county webpage. Okay, embracing diversity, we could have a multicultural celebration. Different aspects of the culture should be demonstrated, maybe singing, dancing, different poetry readings. Students could wear the clothing representative of their race, ethnicity, and perhaps even we could do meal samples, food samples from those places. In our Spanish class currently, Senior Bishop has Fiesta Fridays once a term, and the students are allowed to taste the foods from the different culture. Okay, we could also try a hallway bulletin board in which the different flags are posted. Common phrases that are usually exchanged could be posted on there, and students could maybe practice using them. Okay, staff. Here at our staff, we currently don't have a very good representation of our student population. In order to achieve a more diversified staff, job openings could be posted or made known in newspapers so people of different races or cultures could see us. It could attract teachers of different races. We could also target college students who are close to graduation of different races and ethnicities and try to pull them into the county. Okay, and this is just my references for the PowerPoint. I used several of our school staff, the counselors, the principals all helped out, and then my two co-lab partners or colleague partners.